Morning everyone, it's Calvin here, Shedding Sheep New Zealand. I'm out doing my morning walk around my ewes, checking what my ram's up to, and I'm reflecting a little bit on the afternoon that I had with David Arvidson. And there's actually some Arvidson genetics in my ram. And for those of you who have watched my Arvidson video, and that's just the video that I really planned to make when I came up with the concept for this channel. And I've got some other breeders who are willing to have similar chats with me because I believe that's what people want to see. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. It's a fantastic chat with David about where he came from and his involvement with shedding sheep, as he really was a trailblazer for shedding sheep here in New Zealand. Now David was having an animal health day, and his primary objective for that day was to do some Carla testing. And while he was doing his Carla testing, I had my camera going and I got a bit of footage which has created this video. Now Carla, funnily enough, was one of the topics we didn't really cover. But you'll see David will be popping a swab down the side of the lamb's mouths, and he's taking a saliva sample which Estelle then puts into a tube, and then it's recorded against that ram for when it goes away to the lab. And when I realized that I hadn't covered Carla, which is carbohydrate larvae or larval antigen, I thought I would make some contact with Richard Shaw from Ag Research here in New Zealand. If you get on the internet and you search for Carla and you want to find out about the fact that the sheep are offering resistance to the worms, and internally the sheep are actually affecting that internal parasite's life cycle and reducing the number of worms that are shed and the viable worm eggs that are shed from the back of that sheep. So we don't really cover Carla, but we cover a whole lot of other thoughts and conversations that we had throughout the day between David and myself. And he shows off all of his male sheep that are in the process for whether that ram ends up becoming either a stud ram or a flock ram in his upcoming two-tooth ram sales. So it's a fairly brave move for a breeder to actually show off that process. He's showing the good ones and the bad ones. We know breeders have a spectrum of sheep, from very early born to the very late born, and they're all in the mix. And most of them hide it away and don't show it to the public. So I've got a lot of respect for David to get out there and show the whole spectrum of his male sheep before they go through any selection process. And he tests them, gets the data out of them, which then helps improve the accuracy of the data of his whole flock, and hopefully allows him to better pinpoint the traits that he's going for. I've got massive respect for David for doing this and allowing people to actually see the whole process, because I think it's a really interesting process to go through, and by looking at what breeders do, we can apply it to our own sheep and our own flocks and how we make our choices. So hopefully I'm able to go back in the autumn to see David do his, he will do a composition check, and there will be some weighing done. Data will be going off to SIL, that's Sheep Improvement Limited here in New Zealand, and then figures will be coming back and sheep will be selected on the data that they have against them. Now if you have questions for the breeder, for Arvidson Wiltshires, there is the Facebook page. There is a link in the description, or pop a comment in this video, push the like button of course, and maybe hit that subscribe button, and I will endeavour to maybe have a question and answer session with David next time I see him. and answer some of those questions. And I do prefer people to do it publicly, because if you've got that question, chances are there's 10, 20, 30, 50 other people who are interested in that particular topic. I was really grateful to have the time and for David to share the knowledge, and I'm really pleased to be able to bring this to you and present the thoughts that he's had. So because you're Carla testing everything, because everything is in here, the goods, the bads, the whole lot, the ones that are going to be culled because they've got a nub on them, the small ones.
Yep.
And it's dollars for every animal. You're testing a lot more animals, just to give that depth of data for Carla, for your flock.
Yeah, it makes our system quite an expensive system. Everything we do is sort of overboard. So that gives you a lot more reliability. It's a bit like the facial eczema. 3-1.
Yeah, he's quite a standout with regard to the your width and the rump there.
Yeah, yeah.
The depth across the back end.
Feel across the short lines compared with one of those ones.
Oh yeah, I can.
Let's rescan that one because it's had fly blows, but we need a note on that one.
Yeah, he's shed very, very nicely.
Mm.
He's got that depth in the back end. I'd love to get.
See, by now you're starting to get your winter fleece length on them.
Yep.
And so we do our measurement over the first of the long ribs there, coming up from the short loin.
Yes.
And then we just go out to the edge of that short loin, and we take a measurement right there on that first rib. And basically I've put measurement lines on my finger in the past, so I know what the length is.
Nice.
But you can tell from him, so he's only just coming up to the top of my fingernail, so he's only about a 10 mil, which is ideal, Putting those over our stock, it's shortening everything up.
I'll take him home. He's nice. I like them.
And he's actually quite a late born animal, so despite being late born, he's developed beautifully,
Okay, yep.
So,
yeah, absolutely, yep. And
I've got everything going for him at this stage.
Yeah, when you look at a few of them, it'd be interesting to go through and see that animal, so that later on, and when he comes through to be sold.
Yeah, I just try not to get overexcited at this stage in case he goes and cacks it on me.
Oh yeah, that happens. That's part of
Too regularly.
Hey buddy. 3564.
Yeah, you gotta watch him in the future.
I'm gonna watch him when he comes through the sale. Yeah.
3738.
There's another great one in front of him. There's that the other one.
He might be an on-farm sale.
He might be. He might be.
Maximum thermal protection. A sheep only needs 25 to 30 mil of wool on it in winter.
Because this guy's quite hairy.
Yeah, there's a lot of hair in the Wiltshire.
He's quite hairy. So you're aiming for the, a 10 mil summer shed and a 25 mil maximum wool length is kind of where you're going.
We're not there at the moment. Our longest ewes can still produce 60 mil.
All right. Yeah.
The majority of them are 50 or less.
Yes.
Because we've culled down basically to 50 mil. But there's just some that have got features that we want, so we'll keep them at 60. But in saying that, we're getting a big percentage now that are under 30 mil.
Okay, excellent.
And they're the ones that are producing these animals that they've pretty much got their winter fleece on now, and they've only got around that 10 mil. But you've got to be a bit careful how hard you go in that direction, otherwise you start getting a lot of just pink-skinned lambs being born.
Yes, and I noticed there's a couple that are very pink in the ears. You've got very pink in the ears.
Yeah.
And they're suffering from the sunburn, and they're not going to make it through. You're gonna weasel some of those out.
Yeah, some of them just go through a bit of a baby stage where they get different infections and they just move on from it and they come right. And then others like this one some get it like that and then they stay like that forever. But most of them, they might just have it for a month or two and then it's gone again.
Yeah, the black spots, because some have got quite black.
Yeah, black we don't worry about. We
Little
don't.
black spots on. That's not really. It's just a pigment in the skin, isn't it?
Well, we don't care about colour. So.
Yeah. Saying that says the man with all white sheep. I did notice one black spot on there, just like every now and then I throw a black spot of wool as well.
Yeah.
But see, the other thing we've got is if we get them shedding too far down or not carrying enough wool, in some climates they're not going to survive well. So it's kind of tricky because you're saying that 25 mils is enough to keep them warm all the time?
Yeah, so some research I found on wool basically said that once they're around that 25-30 mil, they're getting like something around that 80 to 90% of their maximum thermal protection.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, so anything longer than that 30 mil, we're really just breeding for to get a saleable product in the way of wool.
Yep, right.
The other thing that happens is the skin thickens up, and if they need a bit more protection and got the feed, they lay down a bit more fat layer.
Right.
So, I read about a guy in the States where his father used to go out and look at them when they had snow on their backs.
Oh yes.
And if the snow sat there, he would breed from them. If it melted, he wouldn't.
Because the thermal efficiency of the
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 heat
wool
was coming out of the animal.
yep, if it can melt the snow. Right, got it. Okay.
Whereas the ones that weren't losing enough heat to melt the snow, he would keep and breed them. They just want multiple maximum numbers to sell
Yeah.
and to look pretty on sale day.
Well, that's correct, and that's something that I'm worried about in the next few years with Wiltshires. We actually had an oversupply of ewe lambs in the sales this year. But then, in saying that, some of those little ewe lambs are a bit like this fella. You know, they haven't shed because they are under pressure, and you take the pressure off, they are going to shed.
Yeah.
But you're of course trying to test these sheep, aren't they? So this guy shed, that guy doesn't shed, so he won't make selection.
Yeah.
Because you have put them under pressure as a ram breeder, which is your job.
Yep.
Which has meant that your rams may not be quite as big, but the big boys at the back there, they're big rams. Like your final product in February, they're a big ram. There are some very, very big rams in there.
Yeah.
And you know what? Not everyone wants those big rams. You know, that hard king country, that hard hill country, you don't want the biggest ram out there anyway.
No.
You want some of those smaller sheep. But so you're basically saying that guy there, he'll be the bottom 20% of your sheep.
Yeah.
Because he's been
bottom 5% because he's
yeah.
hardly got any wool anymore.
Anymore. So, but of course he's been put under pressure. This guy's been run under the same conditions. This guy's shed.
Yep.
He's more likely to be selected. He won't be. He will be culled.
And just shedding on molt alone gives you multiple things.
Or culling on. You mean culling
yeah.
on molt or shed?
Yep.
Shed and molt are different. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, so yeah, that's right.
Well, I've just always called it molt. But anyway, it's,
What about this? See this scraggy shed here?
Yep.
So he's got a molt. He's got two layers under here, hasn't he?
yeah.
So he's got another layer. They look a bit scruffy, but this top, it's like he's doing a second shed, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah. It's
And some of them do that.
yeah, you get a bit of that. It's not a problem. Doesn't create any issues or hassles.
Yeah.
Yeah, you often find that your earliest molted ones in winter typically do a second little shed later in spring.
Yeah, I've got a ram that I gave to the neighbours, and he does that. July, he's shed to nothing, and he's cold. That's a problem. You know, he wouldn't handle it in that really cold country. It just wouldn't suit because he just loses it, regardless. It doesn't matter if the weather's cold or it's warm, he's losing that coat. But, which is fine for where we are just.
Yeah.
And then September, October, he does this again. He does that second molt, which is really interesting.
Which seems to be quite common in those very early ones like that.
Yeah.
But even with them not coping, I mean, yeah, what length of hair or wool covered do cattle grow?
Yeah, very little. But they have it on all the time. They have a molt. Oh, they have a molt in winter, in summer, in spring. They molt.
Most animals naturally have a bit of a molt. Yeah.
But those really early ones too, that actually go to nothing, whilst
down to bare skin.
Down to bare skin.
Yeah.
They're ideal for those guys that are crossing from a woolly sheep.
Yeah, gets them there quicker.
It's get them there quicker. So there is a demand for that sheep, and this is why you've got to know how to shed score correctly at the right time when there's the greatest amount of variance within your flock.
Yeah.
And I've been to sales and every sheep's a 10. Well, not every sheep's a 10. You've done your shed score at the wrong time. I'm holding up. We need to keep going.
Yeah.
I may have pinged up already, but I don't want to hold you up.
I don't.
The skin thickens up if they've got.
Yeah, Wiltshires typically have a thicker skin.
That's why some butchers don't like them, eh?
Bit harder to punch off.
Yeah, it's harder to punch off. That's what they complain about. And the wool shedding, because they get hairy carcasses.
Yeah, trying to keep it. And that's where that sort of thing, it would be brilliant, where you've really got next to nothing shedding. But yeah. Or else she's produced them year after year, sort of thing.
Yeah, so you can actually just trace the whole line of that ewe.
3226.
You can say, well, that ewe's.
Yeah, we just punch a ewe's number onto the computer.
Yeah.
And that'll bring up every animal that's got her number in there.
Yes.
So that way we can, at a glance, just look down through all her progeny.
Fantastic.
See if she's got any progeny.
Yes, and
if she's the best looking one in the flock, she probably isn't.
And that's why I do like that grandmother or that grandparent data, because when you're buying a ram, you know, has that lineage got other descendants within the sale, you know, and is that ewe still there? And I think that's really important. I like those long-lived sheep. For me, longevity is definitely a good trait to be looking at, and it isn't always accurately reflected in the maternal worth, in the numbers.
Yep.
And so these guys haven't had a drench for a couple of months.
That's right.
So this is just a maintenance drench. It's pretty hard country out there, and you've got them stocked. What sort of stocking rate have you got them?
Yeah, I can't tell you offhand, sorry. It's a grazing property here. He grazes them.
You're trying to put a bit of pressure on them because you want to test the rams. That's your job, is to test the rams.
You can tell, like that animal there, it's only got a condition score of about 1.5 on it.
Yep.
You know, and that one's only about a 2. You know, if we'd been pumping the feed into them, you know, they'd all be 3s and 4s or 5s.
Yeah.
So,
that's what I like. That one there. Not a big sucker. Not a big bum on them.
Three, 1, 2, 4. Facial eczema, you don't just have a DPX figure for it, you also have a DPX ACC, you know, which tells you the accuracy of that DPX figure.
Yeah, yes.
It's about my number, is it?
And you're on a block of land that's challenging for facial eczema.
This one is particularly challenging, but yeah. So, you know, when you actually go into select for your facial eczema, you don't want to just be. Yeah, it's a hard one. A lot of commercial farmers don't quite understand it. They think if a farmer is buying in high-rated facial eczema animals, and they think that's a good flock to buy from, but it doesn't necessarily work that way. You've got to understand what females he's putting these high animals over, and is he using secondary rams within the flock?
Right,
That's most of his size, or is he using the high FE ones as most of his size?
Yep. And it takes years to build that up too. How many years has it taken you to get to the point, because you test at 0.54? How long has it taken to you to get to 0.54?
2007, so about 17 years.
And you can consistently test at that and have...
We tend to do it in steps.
Yep.
If you know, we could have done it within about 15 years, getting right up to a 0.6. The problem with that is that you start to lose other things.
Yes, absolutely.
You lose the hoof, you get woollier, you get more parasites, whatever. So, you know, you sort of got to progress at a rate that you're happy with to try and keep the animal sound overall. Otherwise, you can have an alive animal that's a shocker on everything else. 3450.
So you just keep moving up the test rate on your FE until you have some, and of course there will be a percentage that fail, and then that of course improves the whole flock. Is that the goal?
To improve the whole flock?
Absolutely, the goal is to improve the whole flock, but you know, testing techniques.
Yeah, and of course we've never been able to buy in FE tested rams. It's only in the last sort of few years that anyone else has really been doing it with the shedding sheep.
Yes.
And even then, most of those ones were from our gene pool as well. So
that makes it a bit tricky.
yeah, so I could have brought those ones in and sped up the process, but it would have been basically like still just staying within my own flock.
Yep. Yeah, it's line breeding and inbreeding, and that is another whole discussion. Getting it just right.
It's not one that I feel you could afford to do at the Wiltshire. 3273.
There's a lovely set of horns down there in that other mob. So your little horn, you every now and then you'll get, like this guy's got a little skir.
Yeah.
So they still pop through every now and again.
When we first started, we would have gotten around that 6%. Full blown horn, all the corkscrew, everything.
Yeah.
Whereas now that's less than 1%.
I've got a mate who wants some horned sheep.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of them.
Yeah.
They're a byproduct, but there are some people who are still running some horned Wiltshire sheep.
Yeah, I wouldn't advise anyone to buy my horned ones because they've got the pole
Mostly pole
gene in there,
yep.
Which means you can get too many, sort of half pie broken, distorted, twisted ones.
One of the biggest sheep in that paddock's got little half screws.
Yeah.
He's a beautiful ram.
Yeah, makes you cry, those ones.
Yes, because I know what's going to happen to him.
Yeah, that's right. It's interesting when you look down, like I had a bit of a browse through some of my data, and you look at the DPG figure basically.
Growth.
And it was almost a direct correlation to the animals that had the highest DPA, the adult size indexes.
So a positive size.
So basically, the bigger the animal was, the higher the growth rate.
So your adult sizes, because SIL at one point marks down bigger sizes, doesn't it?
If you use that
index.
If you asked to use that index, yeah.
Yeah. So the bigger animals had high growth.
Yeah, which is quite simple. You just say, well, if I put an elephant out with the flock, which offspring's going to grow the fastest?
Yeah.
It's going to be the offspring from the elephant, and that's pretty much what it is. If you were to breed two lines in your flock, a big line and a small line, the ones with the big adults would always be your high growth rate animals, basically. So you've got to decide sort of what range of weight, mature weight, that you really want to target for, and then do your selection within that, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he's quite a standout with regard to the your width and the rump there.
Yeah.
The depth across the back end.
Feel across the short lines compared with one of those ones.
He's shed very, very nicely. He's got that depth in the back end.
Um,
I'll take him home. He's nice. I
Yeah.
like them.
And he's actually quite a late born animal. So despite being late born, he's developed beautifully, you know.
Okay. Yep.
So,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yep. And
got everything going for him at this stage.
yeah, when you look at a few of them, it'd be interesting to go through and see that animal. So that later on, and when he comes through to be sold.
Yeah, I just try not to get overexcited at this stage in case he goes and carks it on me.
Oh yeah, that happens. That's part of
Too
the.
regularly.
Hey, buddy. 3564.
Yeah, you gotta watch him in the future.
I'm going to watch him when he comes through the sale. Yeah.
3738.
There's another great one in front of him. There's that the other one.
He might be an on-farm sale.
He might be. He might be. And of course, so because you private treaty quite a lot, and you have the auction, don't you?
Yeah, the majority of it's private. Yeah, what number are you?
Yeah, that's another really nice ram. Nice wide across the back end, good in the loin. Are you muscle scanning?
No,
No, they haven't got there yet.
no. We've got too many other things on the go at this stage, so even if we did it, we sort of wouldn't be using it, you know?
Yep.
At this stage, it's more important to get the parasite up, the Carla.
3531.
Yeah, 3531.
Yeah, and I completely agree that the parasite going forward is going to be a big one. But we also need to breed a meaty sheep, don't we? When you don't have wool.
Well, no, you need good conversion of grass
That's
into
a great-
saleable weight.
Look at that. That's a good bum on that ram. I do like that.
Yeah, and it wasn't a super early born
Yeah.
one, so.
Yeah, no, it's a nice ram. Now we're looking in here, you've got that scruffy little thing there you've got there.
Yep.
And he's not going to make the grade.
No.
You already know that, but you're still trying to get that depth of data.
Yep. That data feeds back into all the sires we use, and
Yeah, where it came from, how he's performing, and the ewes. If a ewe hasn't produced a good stud ram in so many years, is that game over for her? Or a good replacement ewe lamb?
we don't go by that. We 3052. So when we look at them, we're basically saying, is it capable of producing a stud ram?
Yep. Okay.
Or has it got faults that would not allow it to produce one?
Yes.
And then from there you say, well, if it's got those faults, has it got anything that it can contribute? So if it's right in that top, say 5% of all your stock on one particular feature, maybe on the Carla parasite test or on the facial eczema one or something like that, where it's especially facial eczema because it's such a long-term breeding program. So if it's absolute top there, just on one factor, then we might use it,
Yeah, and of course it depends on that for that ewe, of what ram that goes, which sire, and how that
Yeah, so
works
then
out. So
you try and select and pair them up to get the result you want.
there's still, you can give all the numbers, and it gives a more consistent result, but that doesn't mean that, that pairing might produce the top of the bell curve and the other one might produce the bottom of the bell curve. It just didn't work. I've had a couple of rams like that beautiful rams. One of them produced amazing feet. I just cleaned up all the feet,
Yeah.
but the growth wasn't there and the shedding wasn't there.
Yeah, my suggestion for people, spread your budget over more than one ram. 3758. Because you're taking rams from one environment to another. Our ewes are lambing mainly on kikuyu, which is a very low, it's only about half the protein and carbohydrate compared to the Ryan clover pasture.
Oh, okay, yes.
So they literally can't eat enough of it to perform highly.
Oh, yeah. So that's really working them. That's making
Yeah.
those sheep work.
So it gives you more of a comparison to what they're going to do on poorer hill country, So, you know, so transferring stock from our property to yours, you're going to get a different result. So you have to do selection work on your own property from what you've received from us.
Yes.
To breed something that you're really targeting.
I often suggest buying a
3547.
buying a sheep from a harder country than you're on.
Yeah, which is the old saying: buy from the north and take to the south.
Yep. So my best sheep, my best performing bought-in sheep have come from harder systems, and sometimes been the little small scruffy things.
Yeah.
And they've cleaned up beautifully.
In saying that, we buy from the south because we can't go much further north.
Well, but that's good sheep down there too.
Yeah, and they've got features, so we bring them into our system. We spot the feature that we like from them, and we try and bring that through. You normally find that when you've got about 3, 5, 6, 7, when you're at about the 7/8 sort of stage in your breeding, only 1/8 of that line you've bought in, sort of like a little turbocharger unit.
Yeah.
That really gives you a boost along on that feature that you wanted. That's if you've done your mating carefully in the meantime. Did I miss any? Everyone got a yellow head?
So you've got this fella. Well, which one is it? This one?
This one. I mean, some just remedy themselves, and others lose the eye.
And he's got.
So if you rescan, and we'll put a note on that he's got pink eye.
I have.
So he's got a bit of pink eye. So
He's way ahead of me.
It's quite bad, I think.
That's fairly early in the piece, so
Yeah.
that should be you're going to get a nice clean cover like that. I put the lid down by that red container there.
Oh, I need to get that. There it is. I had a couple last year that got a little bit of pink eye.
Yeah.
And I didn't bother treating, and they all came right.
Yeah.
I've got a ram who is going to be culled. He's got other issues anyway.
Yeah.
He's got it bad, and one of my favourite ewes has got some, but she's coming right.
Yeah. I'm moving a lot more towards that now because, yeah, I'm finding that a lot of the treatments really aren't that effective anyway. So, and
We did have one group that had quite a few, and the vet gave you antibiotics that you
Yeah.
squirt into the eye like a liquid.
yeah, so there's a number of treatments vets are giving now, and just getting you to put them in like a little aerosol and just giving a squirt near the eye. Far easier treatment than using the Orbinan, and a lot more cost effective.
Yeah, and
If you're on a small block, the Orbinan is ideal.
so you've noted that the guy had pink eye.
Yeah,
So if there's something else, you know, that's a cross against his name, isn't it?
that's right.
It's in that selection. It's that, hey, you, and I've done that. I did the same thing. It's a cross against their name.
Yeah, why use them if we've got other alternatives just as good without complicating it?
We can move these guys through, can't we? You're going to give them a little, you give the woolies, the slightly woollier ones, a little squirt for fly blow,
Yeah.
for fly treatment, just down their back, around their back end.
Yeah, well, they all had a dose 6 weeks ago,
Okay.
but that should last about 14 weeks. But when you put it on wool, it's not so effective. So we just give the woolly ones a little follow up at this stage.
I'm not quite on it. I just want to grab a little bit of this. So you just, so you do the whole lot, and then when you're doing a service day like this, you just give them a quick blat on the woolly ones.
Yeah.
Just again that animal welfare thing.
Yeah, animal welfare. We're not. I mean, ideally, we should just let them go and see who survives it or who shows a bit of fly. You know, the other way, of course, is to cull these ones out before this time of year, but we like to keep them to get that data collection.
Yeah. And of course, fly blow being somewhat inheritable.
Yep.
You know, dirty bums, bad. That makes them more likely to get it. And some just, there's something in the sheep, isn't it?
Yeah, some just have a body odour, aroma that attracts the fly.
Yeah.
You can have a perfectly clean sheep, I mean, you know, especially with the Australian fly striking up around the
Those green, that
up
green,
around the shoulder.
that green fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had them last year. Because last year was terrible. This year's not so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, boys.
Yeah, there's a lot of culling to go on here. You know, half of these will be culled out.
That's right.
Did we make a note on this one's fly blow still?
No.
Oh,
Oh,
so
I don't think so. I think it's the other
we better scan it and put a note in.
And of course, so because you private treaty quite a lot, and you have the auction, don't you?
Yeah, majority of it's private.
Okay. Yep. And of course, you've got a wide range of prices too, because you're trying to supply a commercial farmer flock ram, aren't you?
You know, basically we're trying to make it so that, you know, any commercial farmer can come in, lifestyle blocks come in, so normally start from about 800 and up. Sometimes we sort of lose a tag on an animal, and so we can sell it for 400 or something, a bit cheaper. So on if it's lost its tags.
In the private treaties,
3270.
how many $3,000 and $4,000 private treaty rams do you sell?
Yeah, I haven't broken it down. We're sort of
There are some you go through and go, how do you price them? How do you go through and price?
I just do a pricing chart with index on one axis and the facial eczema ranking on the other one, and we do a price in there. You know, the stud farmers are wanting top rams. So, yeah, well, as you can see from Waiwiri, they'll go up over $10,000, that sort of thing.
Yep.
You know, some of them, as you say, to some farmers will pay them a $10,000 or $20,000 transfer fee. So, you know, for stud stock, they're happy to go over $10,000.
Yeah, it's just a matter of working out how, you know, when someone goes in and not knowing what to expect. You know, so they could actually come to you with a budget and say, well, I've got $1,500, I want 10 rams. Can you please choose me 10 rams? Can we sit down together and choose 10 rams? And you could do that.
Yeah, so the majority of animals are in that $1,000 to $3,000 range.
Yeah,
and that gives you your 2,000 average.
Yep, that's what you're targeting.
The auction is new for us, so that's been.
Oh, is it? Right.
It's more experimental, and it's more about developing new clientele and that sort of thing. So yeah, we never used to do auctions until COVID hit, and no one was allowed into Auckland. Yeah, what number are you?
So now when you look at Ewe efficiency, big ewes have to rear the lambs, and as you have to get the weights. And if we look at efficiencies, if we go down in weight of the ewe, we can still get 100% weight of that ewe winged, body weight. But what can I do with? I can't kill a 32 kilo lamb.
Our customers are.
32 kilos, what are we going down to? We're going to 16 kilo, 15 kilo carcasses.
They're doing 32 and up, and they're getting 16, 17, 18. So.
Yeah, so, but okay, so we can
Yeah,
continue. Okay, at 32,
yeah.
let's go below that.
Yeah.
I get a 50 kilo ewe, she rears twins, she rears 2 twins at 25 kilos, I can't kill them.
No.
So at what point is efficiency not efficient? I can have a small ewe doing 100%. Let's say that little 50 kilo ewe rears 2 26 kilo lambs.
Yeah.
She's over 100%, but they're no good to me. They're not profitable. Yeah. So we've got to be careful that we don't combine efficiency with profit, because I can make her very efficient, but she won't be profitable.
And that's where some of the cattle breeds ran into trouble. you know, they brought in smaller breeds that were highly efficient converters of grass, but you can't get them up to works weight before that second winter. Therefore, you've got to carry them through a second winter, and winter is your expensive feed time.
That's right. That's dead right. And so
It's the same with these. Yeah.
So you were weaning it 120 days, 4 months, with 45 to 47 kilo
Average weight. Yeah.
body weights, over 50% carcass yielding.
Yeah.
That's good going. And if you can do that consistently across a wide range of animals, that's going to make money.
That was a small trial group. I don't run the whole flock like that.
Yep, and this is what we need to do. Again, we need to increase the overall of that flock.
But testing a commercial way of farming to see what can these sheep do under a commercial situation. So I just trialled it with those old ewes.
And those were the condition score 4 ewes.
Yeah, all year round they basically stayed in that condition score.
Yeah.
So you don't, so no bearing problems whatsoever.
Yeah. My ewes are sort of sit between a 3 and a 4. 4's getting up there for me. I've got the few that are 4.5s.
Yeah, most of our ewes are more between that 2 and 2.5.
Yeah,
so
I try to mate at.
We're too light.
I'm trying to mate at a 3, and I had to pull them back to keep them there.
Yeah.
I took them to the neighbours and put them on the horse paddocks.
Yeah.
And they was, mind you, I've got one ewe that's just weaned a lamb. She weaned a lamb. She was late born. The lamb was late born. It was an October lamb. Just weaned it. She's already got a mark on her back. I put her in at the beginning of March. Oh, no, it was just on the end of February. She's been out with the ram for a week, and she's already marked up again. She had to do that, otherwise she wasn't going to make the next year's cut.
Yeah.
So I've got a few late hoggets and I'm okay with them if they lamb a little bit later, but they have to get in lamb. That's a condition of them staying for another year. If they don't, it's see you later. I'm pretty harsh there. I'm trying to get to 100% hogget mating, all in lamb, and if they don't get in lamb, I'm going to sell them. Nothing wrong with them is from
hogget lambing.
Might as well.
yeah, hogget lambing. Sorry, you're not hogget mating, lamb lambing, lamb mating, hogget lambing.
Yeah.
Correct. That's correct. They're over a year old when they have a lamb. Yes, their first lamb. Just. They become a tutu. They lamb their first time as a tutu.
I find they haven't even got their 2 teeth by then.
Nah, sometimes they won't. I've got some lambs that have already got marks on now.
Yeah.
They're big lambs, but they're marked.
Tell me the milk production thing.
Oh, so milk production. Okay, so the milk production, the lambs most dependent on the mum and pretty much not taking much nutrition other than from the mum for the first 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's the first 8 weeks. So an 8-week weigh would give you a lot of data for milk production of the ewe. And then as the lamb grows, it then starts to eat, to consume more grass and compete with mum.
Yeah.
So you've got to be really careful. And actually beef and lamb, one of the things that beef and lamb actually do really well is they actually have some modules on decisions on when to wean. And because they don't have a spectrum of you must wean at 4 months or 3 months, they don't have that. But they say, look, if your grass is, you're a bit short on grass, then sometimes weaning earlier, getting those ewes out the back and putting that grass into those lambs is the best idea. So, I would like to see some 8-week lamb weights, but again, that's a lot of work for you to generate milk production.
Yeah, and the problem you've got there is you've got an 8-week lambing period.
Correct. So it gets really hard to give you good, accurate data.
Yeah, you'd have to do obviously like weekly mobs.
Just about to get some accuracy.
And as soon as you're separating the mobs like that, you lose a lot of the accuracy in the rest of your data collection.
Correct. So it's actually it's really hard, and as you can see, as you know, when you're trying to get data, getting that accurate data. I'll get the big boy in. He'll just walk in, won't he? Hey buddy, can you just walk in there please? If you just pop in there, that'd be appreciated. Thanks man. Thank you.
Oh, it's going to come.
I think it's just because he likes me.
Thank you buddy.
Definitely a ram whisperer.
Good boy. Do you want me to hold him for you?
I normally get there eventually. With mine, I normally train them so you just come up under the chin.
Yeah.
And they'll stop for you.
Thank you buddy. Thank
Here's
you.
another one, that little lamb dose.
He's definitely not a lamb.
There you go.
He's got a lovely nature.
He's a wolf in sheep's clothing, that one.